everyone, my name is Katie White and I am the Duchess of Suds here at Royalty Soaps. Today is the fourth collaborative video between Nurture Soap Supplies and Royalty Soaps for the Royalty Soaps piping set. And it is just in time for the holidays. There's a lot of really unique designs you can use your Royalty Soaps piping set for, especially around Christmas time, be it making leaves for a holly berry soap like the one that I did here, or even creating a little miniature Christmas tree, which is what we're going to be doing today. I will also show you how to make marshmallows for all of those hot chocolate soaps that I know you guys like to create. So without further ado, let's go ahead and get started. The first thing you're going to need to do is tailor your piping batch size to however many embeds you're going to need. So if you're going to be making a lot of embeds, you're obviously going to want to have a little more piping than you would if you're only making like, 10 to 15. So I'm going to be making about 68 Christmas tree embeds. So I have gone for about 25 ounces of oil, and then you can put that through a lye calculator with the recipe that I've provided in the other videos and get the correct liquid amount, so the water and the sodium hydroxide. So I have the correct amount of sodium hydroxide and water for 25 ounces of the piping soap recipe, and so I'm going to pour this in. The temperatures of both of these components are between 80 and 85 degrees. And then I'm going to mix it up with the stick blender. After mixing everything up and pouring it together, I split the batch into two parts. After mixing up the lye and oils, the total weight came to 32 ounces even. So into this one, I put 10 ounces of the batter, and into this one, I put 22 ounces of the batter. To the 22 ounces of batter, I added 1 teaspoon of Green Vibrance Mica from Nurture Soap Supply, and into this one, the one with only 10 ounces, I put half a teaspoon of titanium dioxide that was dispersed in 1 teaspoon of water. I then mixed them both up with the stick blender so that all the color would be dispersed through the entire batch, and now we're going to sit and let these wait until they get stiff enough to pipe. For the Christmas tree piping, I'm going to be using the Atico 826 piping tip with the large piping bag. So I've stuck the tip into here without a coupler, and then I just took a piece of packing tape and smoothed it all the way around the edge. Because I'm not working with near the amount of piping that I usually do, that little bit of space can make such a difference for whether or not all of the Christmas trees get finished. So I have just made it easier and just put the piping tip straight into the bag. For the marshmallows, we are taking the large coupler and the large Atico 808 round piping tip. This is going to be the perfect size for a marshmallow, and then it's going to go straight into the bag, straight into the coupler. I don't need as many marshmallows, so I went ahead and used the coupler on this one. So now I have put the green piping into the bag, and I have held the piping bag straight up and down and have simply placed one little dollop, just like so, in rows. So this is going to be the bottom of your Christmas tree. This is what your Christmas tree is going to look like once it's been finished. Now, if you only want to do 2 layers, that would also look really nice. I just decided that I wanted to have 3. So once you have all of the bases of the Christmas trees piped, you're going to do the next layer. So for this layer, you're going to want to turn your piping bag so that you are filling in the gaps of this first one. For example, I'll do this one, and you see I've placed the silver prongs so that it is filling up the openings. That doesn't have to be exact, I've just found it looks a little nicer. So also push down a little bit so that that base fills out a little more. You can see when I'm pushing down it's kind of spreading a little bit. So push down, pull up, push down, pull up. Over and over, push down, pull up. Don't push too hard because then your second layer will cover up your first one, and you don't want that. Alright, so now that all of these have their second layer on, it's time for the third layer, and this is the one that is honestly the most difficult. So you're just going to squeeze a teeny tiny bit and then sort of go up and down a little bit, not while you're squeezing, until the top comes off. So this takes a little bit of practice to squeeze a tiny bit like this, and then pull, pull, pull until the top comes off. Again, don't keep squeezing, just squeeze once and then pull a couple of times. I have also placed underneath all of these a piece of freezer paper, and that's going to make it so much easier for me to pull these off. You could use like a silicone baking mat. You could probably use a piece of parchment paper, but definitely a silicone baking mat. So we're going to do one up really close now so that you can see exactly. So here's the first layer, just like that. Then we're going to turn it slightly so that the edge right here is lining up with the little prong, so it's filling it in a little bit. And then we squeeze the top a little and pull until it comes off, just like that. There's your little Christmas tree. Now there are so many ways you could decorate your Christmas trees. You could take some jojoba beads and sprinkle those on top. You could take some sprinkles and put those on top. I know they have little star sprinkles, so if you wanted to put a little star on all of them, that would be super cute. Or you can do what I'm going to do and take the Snowflake Sparkle Mica from Nurture, or the Super Sparkles Mica from Nurture, and put a little bit of it in this little sifter, this tiny mini sifter, and sprinkle it across the top so that it looks like your Christmas trees are covered in snow. You can also take your little teaspoon measure and just shake it across the top like this if you don't have a little strainer like the one that I just showed you. Either works really, really well. In fact, you might like using a spoon more because you get bigger clumps and it looks a little bit more like snow. So this is what all the little Christmas trees look like once they've been dusted. The camera is not picking up the shininess of this, but these are kind of what they look like. Aren't they cute? These would be so much fun to have on so many different soaps, and you could even use them as embeds on the inside of your soap too, so that when you cut the bars it looks like there's a little Christmas tree on the inside. Now piping the marshmallows is completely different than piping the little Christmas trees. For the Christmas trees we were holding the piping bag straight up and down, and for this one we're almost gonna hold it like this. And the reason for that, instead of piping a line, which is what we're going to be doing, we're going to be piping a line, and holding it like this instead of like this, is going to make the tube of piping a little more round all the way down, instead of having a flat line because of what it's sitting on. So for example, once I piped the line, if I piped it like this, and then pulled it up, there would be a side that would be almost completely flat because it would have been the side that was touching the countertop here. But when we're doing this, it's making sure that it's a little more round all the way around. So I'm just going to apply a nice even pressure and pull very, very slowly. This is what it kind of looks like. If you pull a little faster, your marshmallows will be skinnier. So if you'd like some skinny marshmallows, that is the way to do it. Now you aren't going to touch these until they have sat for about 36 hours. They're just going to stay in long straight lines. I'll show you what pulling it a little faster will do. See, just kind of makes it all a little more skinny, and it isn't as succinct all the way down. So it's better, in my opinion, to pull it a little slower. Just like this. And then what you'll do is you'll cut these to the size that you want them to be. So that is the piping for today. You can see a couple of the Christmas trees there in the background and the long tubes of what will be marshmallows tomorrow. So I will come back within 36 hours and I will peel these off of the freezer paper, and then I will chop up the marshmallows. And I'll show you guys that next. So here we are about 24 hours later. You can wait for 36 hours, but for the marshmallows it's really best to cut them a little sooner than that. They just get to be a little tough. Now you don't want to use a knife like this to cut the marshmallows, because when you do, it will create this little piece, I'll show you,
it will create a little bit of breakage like it has here. You can see all these little pokey bits that have come off. It's kind of snapped here. You really want to use a little thin knife like this one. You see, it's very, very thin, so it's not going to cause a whole lot of damage to your embeds. So here we go. We're going to cut it about the size of a marshmallow, and you can see when you use the little thin knife, it doesn't have that funny looking edge on it. So just kind of eyeball it. That's what I do, about the size of what a mini marshmallow would be. And this is what it's going to look like. Now it does still sort of have that flat back that I was talking about, but if you place the flat part on the soap, like that, you'll never be able to tell. So I'm just going to continue to cut along this. I've already cut up the other ones. And that is what your marshmallows look like all completed. So you can see they look pretty realistic. And they look even more realistic whenever you put them on top of a chocolate colored soap. Now you can see the little Christmas trees have actually turned the right color. They were sort of a yucky gray-green color yesterday, but they've turned the right color. And all you have to do for these is simply peel them right off. See? There's our little Christmas tree. Well, I hope you guys enjoyed this tutorial and found it helpful. I can't wait to see the creations you guys make this holiday season. If you decide to make Christmas trees or mini pine trees or marshmallows, please tag me in your photos so that I can see them. And until next time, you have a royal day, and bye for now.